we at Worthing Borough Council see Worthing already as a fantastic place to live and work. That's why we live here. I've explained doing these webinars with you guys in the past. I'm not a Worthing native. I'm someone who's moved here, got married here, raising a family here, who's here genuinely because I love the place. I could have chosen anywhere, but 15 years ago we came to live here. It's very much a home, and it's got these wonderful attributes placed by the coast, wonderful cultural assets, a fairly decent standard of living, albeit with that recognition that we do have a house price availability issue down here. So what we're doing basically is trying to take those assets, enhance what we've got, but also fill in some of those gaps where we know the area could be even better if we had some of those things. So what we're looking for, if we term it as a wish list, I would put 4 things in there. We're looking for great workplaces. We can add and improve to a lot of the workplaces. There's some wonderful ones here, but what we want to do is add in some wonderful workplaces. So going from light industrial on the outskirts of the town, our industrial estates, where we're remediating land and bringing places up to a standard where we could be doing some of that stuff even better and with even more provision, right down into fantastic 21st century state-of-the-art office accommodation in the town centre, and that includes co-working spaces and so on, really utilising as well as some of the vacant spaces we have, also things like the ultra-fast broadband technology we have that other parts of the south in the country don't necessarily have, where we've taken a lead and delivered that. We can utilise that. The second one is decent homes, even better homes and more homes than we already have. Places, great, modern, healthy living spaces, so not just inside the houses, but around the houses, that public realm around it. We want to add to the third one, the leisure spaces that we have, which ties in with some of that, but equally a place there for businesses to expand as well. So leisure opportunities for families, for people, for couples. That includes cultural, it includes tourism, it includes hospitality, eating out, it includes fitness, it includes culture, cinemas and things like that. We are making space for all of that sort of stuff to happen on some of our brownfield sites. And finally, it's learning and education opportunities. We know Worthing, we don't have necessarily a university here in Worthing. We do have some university level provision in one of our colleges, but we want to actually do something new here in Worthing. We want to be using our town centre, our public spaces, and some of the places that we redevelop as well for opportunities for educators and educational institutions to come in on their own, or even better, working with us to provide some spaces to make us a really go-to place for learning and education.
Let's break that down slightly then Dan. When you talk about learning and education, can you drill into that? Are you looking at specific institutions? Have you got particular conversations on at the moment, or is it a sort of just a broad offer?
With regard to the learning and leisure, yes, it's a broad offer at the moment because we've got a bit of a blank canvas. You know, the flip side of not having a university or a teaching hospital, a research centre like that in Worthing is that we have that blank canvas, something that people can come in and work with us. But from that, we think that we can do some really quite innovative things. There are examples of colleges on the continent, definitely over in France, where they work in town centres, in public spaces, where it's much more of a bottom-up approach. And it's that kind of innovation, people actually taking a lead, self-learning, and learning from each other in a collegiate way, as opposed to the more traditional way, that we think there's something there in our town with the citizen Wi-Fi that we're bringing in, with the people that we've got working in the cultural and creative sector in and around Worthing and our neighbouring places, that we think we can create something really quite interesting here, not necessarily completely new and innovative, but working on some of those examples that are happening elsewhere. Yeah, the door's open. Come and talk to us if people are interested.
And in terms of culture and leisure, are there specific gaps in the offer that you're looking to fill in the short term?
We know we have a great cultural offer in regards to some theatres doing some things like our Summer of Circus and all the other sort of things that our theatres are doing that really stand out from other areas in the country. But we know we haven't, for instance, got an art gallery that stands up we have a good art gallery, not one that stands up next to some of the best ones in the country. So that's why we're pushing forward with our museum and art gallery, the Let the Light In project that we want there. We haven't got the funding for that yet, but we're working with sponsors, institutional sponsors like the Arts Council, but others to try and bring that about. And more sort of perhaps traditional, the thing that might have a wider appeal, things like cinema screens. We know we have fewer cinema screens than most towns of over 100,000 people. In one of our redevelopments that we've given outline planning permission to, there is now permission to add cinema screens to an existing cinema to grow that. Family leisure opportunities as well, whether that's again, the sort of places that I end up with my kids, soft play, trampolining parks, things like that, and building on those sort of opportunities. We have now space, as we've got our planning permissions on some brownfield sites, to really bring some of those about. We're redeveloping one of our oldest and most favourite parkland areas as well, to include some things like that. And again, that's somewhere where partners can come in and work with us to come up with some stuff that gives people who live in and visit Worthing even more reason to stop around and enjoy the place.
And then in terms of decent homes, what are the housing targets that you're having to meet at the moment?
Well, our need is far greater than our target. We're here stuck between in a wonderful spot to be stuck in between the English Channel and the South Downs. So in terms of space for mass house building, we haven't got an awful lot of it, but we're still looking to build in the hundreds of new homes every year. And we're doing that through a mixture of new family houses on the outskirts of the town and on some of the brownfield sites. On some of the council-owned sites, we're doing partnerships with firms like Cllr, the Scandinavian firm, who are doing some of their modular housing builds, and then some flatted and mixed-use schemes around the town to bring in. But the point is there, we're really now going for really high-quality schemes, and schemes that also serve all the different demographics around the town, and we're making great progress with that. And as we know from the property prices, there's a really viable way to do that if we can just unlock some of the issues around these brownfield sites, which we are doing with help from partnerships from bodies like our local enterprise partnership.
And you own quite a lot of land yourself, don't you? Not yourself, as a council.
Well, no, Worthing Borough Council does own a bit of land, as you would imagine, local authorities do, and we're taking a strategic view to how we use that. I spoke earlier about some of the light industrial stuff, so we're decontaminating land that we've owned for a long time to unlock some of that. But in terms of the housing growth, yes, we're really looking anew at some of the land that we own, whether that be a site where we currently have a caravan club site on there, looking at whether they need all that site. They feel they don't, so there's potential to unlock there. A bit of vacant land that I've mentioned already, where Cllr are doing their modular home scheme, for which we've put the plans through on that. And again, we've acquired land where there had been some stalling going on, where private developers have come in and found that they weren't necessarily able to do that. We've taken a proactive stance there. We've brought in the partnerships. We're always working in partnership. We don't do any of this on our own. So the local enterprise partnership, LCR, have come in with us, and we've purchased land. We're now embarking on another with one of our biggest social housing providers to bring about some more brownfield site and unlock those sites. And then we're looking at assets like multi-story car parks that have only got a finite life, looking at the end of life for those, not re-providing them as multi-story car parks, but looking at what we can do to use those again to provide some fantastic seafront living, akin to what we've already done in the last few years, and what is now a really landmark site in Worthing, which is the Bayside Apartments block down there on the seafront, which used to be our leisure centre. We now have, in my opinion, the best leisure centre on the south coast next door to that, and that site now is going to be, well, I think some of the best living space on the south coast as well.
And viewers can catch up on a lot more detail on all of that on our sister channel, Sitematch 365, which you kindly took a part in a month or so ago. The final part in this section was workplaces. You mentioned workplaces. What sort of businesses can you foresee coming into Worthing, and what sort of provision would you like to see made for them?
We already have some really exciting businesses operating in Worthing. We have Rayner, who do the world leading contact lenses and the technology that they do all that. We have ETI, the temperature, get the thermometer guys who do things for Formula One teams and all others, as well as the thermometer that you use in your kitchen to test your turkey at Christmas. We have B&W loudspeakers, we have GlaxoSmithKline, we have a whole bunch of very interesting, very exciting businesses doing some very innovative things here in Worthing. And what we would like some more of the same. They need space. Those sort of guys need more space out on the outskirts of town, which we are providing. Then in the centre of town, we're seeing a real boom, not just in Worthing, but in the wider area as well, across the what we call the Greater Brighton region, of some very interesting cultural and creative type small scale businesses that then scale up very quickly, doing things in virtual reality or augmented reality, using data in new and fascinating ways, leading to new work in artificial intelligence and all these sort of areas. And that, a lot of those guys are starting in our local co-working spaces, and then I say scaling up into larger businesses. That's exactly the kind of thing that we're looking to utilize. We've made a platform for that by working with people on the co-working spaces, by getting ultra fast broadband into the town, by building networks of people who know all about this digital stuff far more than I do or ever will. And we're bringing on more again. We last week approved plans to renovate some dilapidated buildings that, as you see on your way into Worthing from the east, to build a new digital co-working space there, backed with council funding. So the platform's there for all these sort of guys, and they're coming. They are coming. There is a network here already for people to come and tap into.